me say this. I know I'm going to get in trouble with this, but the good thing is I'm retired, and all the money that I needed to make in my life to sustain for the rest of my life, I'm good with. So I don't need to have to worry about who pays me. Part of the problem happens with our public discourse in black communities is because we're taking black feminist academic language and trying to apply it to public discourse when you're not a part of that conversation.
All right. All right.
I'm not trying to be funny.
No, you real.
You don't know what misogynoir is. Stop using it. I can sit up here and say a whole bunch of words like anti-black misandry, and you don't know what that is. Stop using black academic, because you ain't read enough books to have done it. More importantly, you're not a part of the discourse, and that's the difference. You all are wanting to, oftentimes in the public, we're creating conversations. Academics are not engaged in conversations, we're engaged in the discourse. Let me explain what the difference between a discourse is. We're all having a conversation here. A discourse is when Anthony and I are talking about a particular subject on somebody, why in the hell is Boris Kodjoe representing black men? And we're having a conversation, and we start looking at the history, background, research on who Boris Kodjoe is, what he plays, what's the outcome, what's the impact. And we're talking in discourse, and we're sharing what we've learned about Boris Kodjoe. And somebody out of the woodwork comes in, Tamiko comes up, and she says, what are you all talking about? So we first tell Tamiko all the things that we have learned about Boris Kodjoe, how we have learned it, where we learned it, what we have thought about it. And then Tamiko says, well, I want to figure out some more about Boris Kodjoe too. Let me go figure out. And she comes back to us and says, this is what we have learned, and adds to the discourse that we had. That's not a conversation, that's a discourse. It is intentional, it is strategic. But the minute you take my discourse and place it into your conversation, you don't have enough information to hold that conversation accurately. I tell my students all the time, you're taking 2.5 months of introduction to African American studies. You're not about to leave here being an Africana scholar. I use the example. When I was in the 6th grade, my mother put me in Kung Fu. Anecdote. And after 3 months in Kung Fu, I was sparring with my instructor, my sensei, my teacher, and I did fairly well. And I was really surprised. I was defensive. I found offensive kicks in there. And when my mother came to pick me up at the end of the class, I was walking out of the door, and he pulled me over to the side. He said, hey, you did really good today. But I want to tell you something. You've learned just enough Kung Fu to get your ass kicked. Part of what we have done is we have given people just a little bit of information, and you are now deadly, but not effective.